Welcome to this week's edition of the Heat Flash. I'm joined right now by Harrisburg Heat head coach Tarik Walker. And Coach Walker, thanks for joining us on the Heat Flash
Thank
today.
you.
You have St. Louis coming in this weekend on Faith Night. And talk about this St. Louis club and what makes them dangerous.
Well, they have they're pretty good size on their team. Target players are pretty big. They play with a guy named Sinclair that plays up top for them. Very tall target player. So play a very similar style to what we see on the East Coast division. Daryl Durant is a veteran of the game, super legend of the game. So he's got those guys well schooled in the way that St. Louis used to play and won championships with. So they're playing pretty well on that side.
What kind of strategies do they use?
They play into their targets. The couple times that I saw them play in video, they like to shoot, and they had some big shooters. And even though they don't play with the multi-point system on that side, those guys were willing and able to shoot from distance and follow up stuff off the board. So we have to be very careful of that. What
are your impressions of their defense and their keeper?
Well, I think actually their main starter just is out for injury. He just had surgery on his knee, so that's something that we will try and do. Them coming into our building, we'll try to pressure their keeper a little bit more to see what kind of mistakes he makes.
Are there any names in terms of stars that stand out to you on their club?
They've got a kid, Corey Adamson, who's been in their club for a long time. He's probably the face of their organization and does well for them. A kid named Di Maria that played back when I was playing. He's just coming into the league, so he's got some experience. And so those guys run their midfield. A lot of the play goes through them, and so those are two players that we definitely want to watch over the weekend.
What's the mood of your club after coming off the Syracuse game? It looked like.
Well, I think the guys were excited. I think they were confident going into Syracuse, a team that we'd seen a couple of times. So early in that game, our tactics were on point, and guys were finishing off their chances. And I think that'll continue. Once you get that lead and that momentum, and see what it feels like to be on a winning end. Some of those adjustments that we make over the week to how do we play with the lead now, that is what we'll see over the weekend.
It really felt, I know that was your first lead of the first quarter in that game so far this season, but that first, I would say, the first 3/4 of the first half until Syracuse started making it a half there at the end of it, it really felt a lot different. I don't know how it felt to you on the bench, but in the stands, it felt a lot different than any other game really we've seen this year.
Yeah, and I think part of it too was we had a good crowd that came out, and that's always important for young teams, and that's what kind of our message has been. Please come out and support us, because as a young team growing in the game, that's having a crowd behind us is huge, and so that's one thing that we'd like to continue. But yes, it was a good crowd. There was a lot of noise for us. We got up on top of a team early, and we weren't able to carry that through, but definitely the crowd in the building helped us tremendously.
Syracuse almost looked a little surprised.
Yeah, and I think, we were hitting with some couple early shots, and I think, I heard their coach yelling and screaming at halftime, so it kind of changed their mentality coming out in the second half, but definitely, I think they were shocked by it, and I think it shows that we've improved as well, though.
You heard it all the way from your locker room?
Yeah, we could hear them yelling and screaming, and so when we were calmly going over tactics, I think he was more imploring their guys to step up another level, and they obviously came out and did better than they did in the first half.
Gotcha. So could you compare and contrast almost like, because you've seen Syracuse several times this year, what this Syracuse team looks like compared to a St. Louis team we haven't seen yet?
It's going to be very similar. I think the main difference that you'll see between the two teams is probably their target play. The size in their target is a little bit St. Louis has bigger target players. Neto's more of a smaller, craftier type player. Can still hold the ball, but more of a tricky type player. And the St. Louis group, they use their size to take advantages.
And lastly for you, Coach, some people may look at our record and say, oh my gosh, you guys are 0-12. Why do I want to go out and see those guys play? But really, with that being said, there is still some hope for this team, albeit small.
Yeah.
There is still some hope in terms of a postseason, so it's not like there's no drama left to the season.
No, there's a ton of season left. There's 4 home games left, back-to-back weekends. This weekend, which is going to be huge for us to get a win under our belt. And then last weekend of the season is also back-to-back weekend. So there's still plenty of games left. We're 5 games. I think we were looking at the standings. We're 5 games back of the third-place playoff spot. So there's still some work to be done, but there's still a goal that's attainable for us.
And I know you've been around this game a long time. Have you seen stranger things happen?
No.
Okay.
There has been stranger things that have happened.
Okay.
So we will definitely keep our hopes up.
All right. Never know which way the soccer ball is going to bounce for you, right?
Of course.
All right. Head coach Tarik Walker of the Harrisburg Heat, thanks for joining us for this edition of the Heat Flash.
Thanks.
Stay tuned for more editions of the Heat Flash on Heat social media and the Heat website at harrisburgheat.com.